before we dig into this topic of the alpha males, I think there's a bit of a buzz going around at the moment on social media. I see a lot of people talking about alpha male, and I think that there may be some concepts that may be changing, just like masculinity is changing in these times. And so I'd love for us three to have a discussion of what is your concept, or what do you know of as when we say alpha male, what resonates with you? Andy, we'll start with you, man, then we'll go back.
Yeah, I really believe it all comes around leadership, and not only leadership for my family and my friends and community as such, but it's actually leadership for self, because we live in such an uncertain world. And as you mentioned, the dirty C word that no one likes to talk about is something that
is that cunt?
I knew
Is
you'd
that the
say
one?
that.
Which is the dirty C word?
COVID, mate. When we look at that side of things of how easily that flipped the whole world, and it flipped my world massively. Business shut down twice by no choice of mine. It was ridiculous and painful, and I knew in that moment that I needed to be a leader. Like, trust me, everything within me wanted to lay on the lounge and watch Tiger King and drink till my heart's content as such. Because, that's basically what I know so many people did. But it actually called for leaders to really rise up. So I would really look at it all around leadership of, first, you've got to be able to lead yourself. So then that way you can definitely lead others. So that would be definitely my biggest take on it. And to lead with that level of certainty as well, to really trust the process, to know that everything I need is in me right now, and I have all of this information, and now I get to go and put all of this information into play. That's my take.
Beautiful, bro. Urbain, how about you, man? What's your concept when we say the word alpha male?
Yeah, so I did have a little think about this before the podcast, because I thought it's about alpha males. What does that even mean to me? And what really came up for me was like, it just made me think of like a wolf pack or a pack of dogs. We have, the alpha, you also have like the runt of the litter. So like, it's like people have a tendency to be born into a certain role. But in terms of like qualities like leadership, definitely like strength and aggression, and like not necessarily aggression in a bad way, but the aggression to help to protect the pack, to protect the territory and the resources of the pack, and yeah, just like a real strength. And I also thought like the alpha in the pack gets all the pussy, so that's what I was thinking.
Yep, it's interesting. There's that saying that like in the jungle, like the lion eats first, and so when the hunt happens, the lion eats first. And so often I see men doing the opposite, is like giving all their energy away to their family, to their children, to their partners, to their spouses, to their friends, and they're not eating first. And I think one of those things, it's been conditioned in us that we have to put everyone above ourselves, and that's what it meant to be a man. Though everything that you're sort of saying and alluding to, both you gentlemen, was that there is a place for this leadership, that we need to look after ourselves. Like, we need to eat first if we're going to lead. We need to, and by eat first, we need to look after ourselves, self-preservation, self-care, looking after that self-emotionally, so that we can lead. All of those qualities that you've mentioned, man, around leadership, strength, aggression, dominance, also the courtship. And I'd really love to go into this area as well. So, like in the wolf pack, the alpha does get all the pussy. And I was literally watching a documentary 2 days ago with the kids, and they were talking about, like, there was no, if any of what was, I can't even remember what the animal was, but if there was any flinching in them, if they didn't stand up, if they didn't fight, if they didn't take what was theirs, the female wanted nothing to do with them at all. And so there was no legacy piece for that. I think there can be some healthy and unhealthy traits when we start coming into like this alpha male, especially pertaining to women. And How have you seen healthy traits and unhealthy traits pertaining to the alpha male, and how are we navigating as men, like being single and then also in a committed relationship? Have you noticed any of that dance, and if so, what's it been? Cuz, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I guess the unhealthy traits, like anything, it's just the shadow side of the work, which, like, we talk about it at BV, and I mean, there's a shadow side to everything. So I guess when you're, like I said, when you're in your head, when you're not like coming and leading from your heart, then of course those are going to look really like fucking like bright shiny objects. I want to get the car, to get the woman, to get whatever, the money. But yeah, I think like we teach, when you drop into your heart, then you're really starting to lead from your heart space. Then those shadow qualities of the alpha, they're not as appealing, and they won't come through because in your essence, that's not who you are.
Yeah, man. And so what I'm hearing you say is that the qualities, what I refer to as the limelight, these things of like this false pretense happiness, and it is what we teach, and it's so a concept that we didn't come up with in Bloke's Venture. It was actually from Lewis Howes. He wrote a book, Masks of Masculinity, and he talks about one of the masks that we men wear is this alpha mask, where we put this mask on and we slip into the shadows, and it feeds the ego or the identity of that. The only way that we can be successful as a man is if we are strong, if we're leading, if we're dominant, if we're leading the pack. Do you agree that that's healthy or unhealthy, Andy, of that kind of concept?
Yeah. Sitting here just listening to Urbain, their share, and it's definitely a very different take on it. And it's something that, for myself, it's been a very big journey working through that. Certainly from childhood conditioning and the way that I was raised. So I'm not sure just yet. Like I definitely see where we're coming from with that. But I can see why people do what it is that they do. Like, I can see why they buy the car to get the girl. I can see why they, want to follow that line of things there. Like, it's certainly not something that I've ever done. I was also married at like 19 years of age. So by the latest, I had to applause to, improve, like to impress my chick, which was hilarious. But yeah, like I grew up very conditioned in church and in the faith world there, which, sorry to go a little bit over here for a second there, but
I'd love to stay on this, man. I'd really, if it's okay with you, to explore the church. And I'll give my experience as well, because I went to a Catholic church, but I didn't grow up religious. And so religion got forced upon me. And as a man of faith, I would love to hear, how that conditioning happened for you around the alpha male and inside the church front of your faith.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, by no means am I, bashing churches here for a moment, because what we need to remember is that church is full of people, and people have problems no matter what type of organization that they're in. So definitely, as I went to church from the moment that I was born to 16, 17 years of age, where I really started looking at things and going, I don't think this is right for me. But I saw the way that, this level of like masculinity or, alpha would come across. The man's the head of the house, and, you're the head and not the tail. Like, there's all these different biblical quotes that come into play there. And like everything, it's distorted to the meaning that we want to give that. So what I grew up seeing was, my mum would often say, oh, like your father's the head of the house. Like, he makes the decisions. But I'm there going, well, I love you, mum, but I think you're the one making the decisions here.
Interesting.
Like, it's, and my parents, I believe, did an amazing job of raising, myself and my older brother, younger sister. But what I see in there is I saw throughout certain congregations that we were in, certain churches, that there was very unhealthy, in my personal opinion, levels of toxic masculinity. Really toxic, as in literally to the point where women, the wives, um, were hushed. Like, it's, you basically do not speak unless you're spoken to. The father, the man, comes out and says jump, and literally it's like people don't even ask how high, like, you just jump. Like, I've seen that level. And this is also going back 20 years ago now as well, to someone who does have a faith, who does go to church on a weekly basis. And I see that that has very much so changed now, which I think is a really wonderful thing. I believe that at times though, I've seen it completely flip the other way though. Where there is the lack of that male role model, that male father figure, that male, like the husband in the house. Call me a little bit traditional in there, but there's just a lack of that. So, as you've often shared, like, it's like this dance between the masculine and the feminine, that this male leader needs to come out. And I believe it's not lead with ego or lead with arrogance. I believe it's leading with a level of certainty, because at no point did I say to my wife and my children, "Oh, I think we want to move to Queensland, and I think this is what we want to do. Like, I think this is the direction that we need to go." Like, we'd had many conversations around lifestyle and what we wanted. And I remember it was 12 months ago, almost to this date, that my wife and I were driving to Queensland for a holiday. We'd often spoken about it. And we were just like, what are we doing? Why are we not here right now? And it was at that point we made a decision. And there was many times throughout the last 12 months, my wife has a business and she needed to wrap up many aspects of that and transition that. And she was like, "Oh, like, are we doing the right thing?" Now, I may have been there on the inside going, "Oh my gosh," like, I'm there thinking, yes, yes, yes. Like, I hope so. Like, just because that's what I'm thinking, I know what my wife is looking for is that level of certainty. And I believe that the knowledge is there. Everything's within me now that I can say, yes, like, this is what we decided on. We've just got to reverse engineer this. Let's make this happen. Let's go for it. So, yeah, there's a little bit of a mixed take.
I love it, bro. I love it. I know that some listeners are going to be asking a couple of questions from your share too, because I see so many men feeling lost right now. And then for you to say this, like, a healthy alpha male is to have certainty within himself and execute on from that place.